Hi everyone, this is Sarah. I chose to read the historical fiction book Hattie Big Sky. It is written by Kirby Larson and was published on September 26, 2006. Hattie Big Sky is a New York Times bestseller and a Newbery Honor book. The front cover of the book shows the main character, Hattie Inez Brooks. Hattie Big Sky is a story about a 16-year-old girl named Hattie who has never had a proper home. Throughout her life, she has lived with numerous relatives, but has never felt the true love of a family. While living with some distant relatives, Hattie receives a letter from her mother's brother stating that she has been given his claim of land in Vida, Montana, along with his house and his animals. Hattie decides to accept her uncle's offer and moves to Montana in the hopes of finally finding a home. Upon arrival in Montana, Hattie meets Perry Lee Mueller and her family. Perry Lee is Hattie's new neighbor. Hattie faces many challenges throughout the story. The main challenge she faces is proving up the land. This means she needs to cultivate 40 acres and set up 480 rods of fence. This needs to be accomplished within the next 11 months. When Hattie is not proving up the land, she needs to learn how to care for a cow, a horse, and chickens, as well as learn how to cook, bake, do laundry, and quilt. Hattie quickly strikes up a friendship with her new neighbor, Perry Lee, who is quick to help Hattie with anything that she needs. Being friends with Perry Lee is a problem for the group called the County Council of Defense. It is the year 1917, and the country is in the middle of a war with the Germans. Perry Lee is married to a German, and this group feels that he should not be in the country. For much of the story, Hattie grapples with the reasons why people can choose to dislike someone based on their country of origin. At the same time, she shows much admiration for the soldiers fighting in the war. The people Hattie meets and the journey she takes throughout the story is one she will never forget. Will she be able to prove up the claim on the land and finally have a home of her own? This is an answer you will only get if you read the book. I believe that one of the reasons Kirby Larson decided to write this book is to teach young adult readers about the lives of people living in the United States during World War I. I think she also wanted to introduce readers to people living on the homestead and the struggles they faced. While learning about the homestead, Larson takes readers on a journey towards finding the true meaning in life and the emotions of what it is like to find true friendship and a sense of community. A passage from Hattie Big Sky that I would like to share with you begins on page 191 and ends on page 192. The passage is a conversation Hattie is having with Traff Martin, who is interested in buying Hattie's claim of land. It also describes her emotions at the time. The passage says, "I fought down the hot anger boiling up in my stomach. There was something to consider in his offer after all. This farm was hard work. I was whittled down at least 2 sizes, what with all the chores and hauling and carrying. And not even the rosiest glasses could make my crop situation look good. There were harvest expenses staring me in the face, along with trying to finish repaying Uncle Chester's IOU. With Traff's offer, I could be done with it all and find somewhere else to live. A real house, with curtains and a proper shelves for my books and actual chairs to sit on, not old lard buckets. I could work for a newspaper, maybe even travel. Or I could settle down somewhere friendly, with neighbors close by on either side, and never move anywhere again. I'd been working so hard to prove up, I'd never even let myself dream about the kind of life I might really want to live. Traff's offer was fair, even generous. It made a lot of sense. 'Your offer is reasonable,' I said. 'I think so.' He ran a hand through his wavy hair. 'But I must say no.' 'Why on earth?' 'I doubt I could explain it to you.' I shook my head. 'I can barely explain it to myself.' A hot breeze carried the sweet scent of prairie grass through the open door. 'But I do appreciate the offer.' I stuck out my hand to shake. Traff stood up so fast the chair tipped over. He grabbed his hat and clomped it back on his head. 'Hattie, you're making a very bad decision. Exactly like your decision to be so friendly with people you shouldn't.' A muscle twitched under his jawbone on the left side of his face. He was angry. How angry, I hoped I'd never find out. 'Perhaps you will change your mind after harvest.' I softened my voice. Perhaps. I chose to read this passage because it shows the doubts Hattie is having about accomplishing her goal of proving up her uncle's claim. She has worked very hard up until this point and is faced with the decision to give up or to keep going towards her goal. At the end of the passage, it is still unclear if Hattie will eventually sell the land or reach her goal of finally finding and having a home. Hattie Big Sky is a book that is enjoyable for young adults as well as adult readers, and it would be a book I would recommend reading. One of the reasons I would recommend this book is because it is educational. Middle school age readers and historical fiction lovers will enjoy the history of homestead life and the experiences of people living during World War I. Hattie Big Sky can easily be adapted for reading in literature circles and be used in cross-curricular units in language arts and social studies classes. Another reason I would recommend this book is because it is very relatable. Young adults may have experienced hardships like Hattie, such as being shuttled from house to house and never having a proper home. They can also relate to the building of friendships and finding one's own way in life. Thirdly, I would recommend this book because of the style in which it is written. Hattie writes letters to important people in her life throughout the book. These letters describe the experiences she has had in Montana. Kirby Larson wrote this book so readers would want to keep reading. It is filled with interesting stories of the homestead life that keep you wanting to know more. Lastly, I would recommend this book because it is based off of a real person. Kirby Larson's grandmother was named Hattie Inez Brooks Wright, and she owned a homestead in Montana. Larson was intrigued and conducted research to write this story. Much of the information in the book is factual, which makes the book a good one to read. Well, that's all I have for you for now. I hope you have enjoyed this book talk about Hattie Big Sky, and I hope I have encouraged you to read a new book. Bye!